All right, welcome in everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at HeartSupport. We are a mental health nonprofit in the metal music scene, and we have a very special guest and a special treat. Today we're going to be reacting to Papa Roach from Carrie Underwood with our good friend and therapist, Robyn Ward, aka the Metal Therapist. Before you go anywhere, drop into the description of this video. Go and follow her on TikTok, on Instagram. She creates amazing content using music and mental health. If you love HeartSupport, you're going to love her channel. Go and give her a follow. Go and give her some support. And today we're going to be diving into what is becoming potentially one of the biggest mental health bangers in our scene. We don't know too much about it other than it's Papa Roach, Carrie Underwood, suicide prevention song, Leave a Light On. We are excited to check it out.
I'm so excited. I love Papa Roach, and they are quite known as well for being very emotive, aren't they? So
they are. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this evolution of a band that started in like the 2000s. We're talking about the impact and legacy of a track that has touched all of us, and I'm very excited to see this next chapter, this sequel, if you will, of Papa Roach's legacy.
Dry bones rattling a lonely soul, slipped and fell into a deep black hole. I can tell you're lost, I'm here for you. Wildfires burning you down to stone, blind eyes turning from a world so cold, a million miles apart within my reach.
The harmony. Have you ever heard a more beautiful harmony? Oh my gosh.
I feel like the juxtaposition between the voices is just perfect.
Oh, it's so good. And the chord progression with just like the softness of the song, I'm just like, oh, chills, dude.
Yeah, it's very like eerie in a sense.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's setting the stage for an emotional home run.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like me to worry when I see you fading in the dark. I'll leave a light on for you. Through the long nights, I will be right there for you if you drift too far. I'll leave a light on for you.
The rain comes following an endless drought to wash away the remnants of all your doubt. I hope that you see me looking out.
Two things to me, actually. One thing is when you're supporting somebody else through really, really dark times and suicidal ideation, do you see me almost extending that hand out and making sure it's explicit that you're going to be there for somebody? But then also the second thing is, that internal dialogue that you have, like, I will leave a light on for you. It's almost saying, like, almost self-soothing in a way.
Yeah.
So there's kind of, I feel, two ways to interpret that.
Yeah, tell me more about the self-soothing.
It's kind of that inner dialogue sometimes of like trying to reassure yourself when you're in those moments as well. Yeah. So not only could you look at this from the perspective of somebody supporting somebody else with suicidal ideation, but you could look at it from the perspective of supporting yourself through that as well.
Yeah, this song is very current for me because I have two friends that I love very much who are in active suicidal periods. There is definitely an element of uncertainty. It's like being in a moment where I am making decisions that are not responsible for, but are in the same room as like the future of someone's life. There's like a weightiness that provokes my own insecurity of like, am I doing the right thing? I'm going to leave a light on for you. Because what it says is it's not saying I am going to rescue you from the dark, because you can't. But I can be available, and I can be welcoming, and I can be safe, and I can be like a signpost, a space where if you want to take a step in, home is here for you.
Yeah. And I feel so strongly that, like, if somebody is in a place of such darkness, they can have their own light, in a sense, that if you leave yours on for them, it gives them at least some sense of light in the world. And I think you're so right in the sense of, like, we don't always know the right or wrong things to do when someone's in that place. We can't rescue, we just can't. But at least we can try. And that trying sometimes is all you can do. And sometimes it is the very thing that person needs from you. It shows that you're human, you don't always say the right things. You might not always do the right thing, but it's better than nothing. The bit where it says it's not like me to worry, but when I see you fade in the dark, it sort of shows how I'm not a person that typically worries, but this is highlighting to me how serious this is for you. When you say that to somebody, it's not like me to worry, but when I see you like this, it's you saying, I'm taking this seriously. I can see how serious this is for you.
Again, I know for me, when that moment came, you kind of feel that there's something substantively different. In a moment with one of my friends, it was almost like their soul was like gone. It was like it was a different person. And so I know that feeling of like the dark, like you feel the light that's inside of them kind of has vacated, and you feel that darkness. How do you approach that conversation if you've never done it before?
I think there's two things that spring to mind for me. One is being frank about it. If you think somebody could be contemplating suicide, you ask them outright, because if you do that, it shows that it's not a taboo topic to talk about, that it gives them an in, for something that can sometimes feel like a tricky thing to bring into a conversation. You're that person who's given them the invite, and you're saying to them, it's a topic. I'm a safe person to talk to about this. And then the other thing about that is the fact that you've noticed a change in that person shows how much you're paying attention. And just by saying that, I've noticed this about you recently. Is everything okay? Are you contemplating suicide? That in itself is powerful, because it shows that you're paying attention.
My own experience in that situation with my friend, I knew that I needed to say suicide, but being someone on the other end of it, it feels like I'm going to open the door, right? And I don't think I'm equipped to handle on the other side, right? And even though I know about suicide, there is a weightiness to confronting it face to face. Is this a moment? Like, are we there? There's a gravity to it that's really hard to carry. And I think that when I was about to say those words, are you suicidal? It felt like what I was taking on by saying that is the weight of that moment, of like the person that now needs to do something because I have that knowledge. So for someone who feels unequipped, what do you do? Like, someone says, yes, I'm suicidal right now. What do you do?
I'd say explore that person's support network. Everybody will have at least a few people around them, somebody who they can go to. And I'd just probably say in that moment, it's really about, like, what can you do with this now? Now that we know this, now that we've heard this, who can you speak to? And exploring maybe things that help, like, just get through those moments, because what we know is those thought processes, they can only last so long. Yes, they might cycle through and they might come back and back and back. So exploring things that can be helpful maybe as well. Resources maybe. Together. You're on a discovery path together sometimes, and with a conversation like that, like you say, sometimes people can feel unequipped to talk about it. So you're exploring that together in a sense, really, I would think.
So I've had 3 active suicidal interventions with very close friends of mine in the last year. And each of them had a different flavor. But as you mentioned, relying on their support network, like, who else in your life should we tell about this, was so valuable. If we use the image of leaving a light on, it's like, by having this conversation, I'm turning my light on. and this person has one light in their life, and saying, let's go and find someone else who's near you who will turn their light on as well. And there's something about just telling people that illuminates this person's life with more hope. I like to think about it like I'm carrying a boulder, right? When I'm in a suicidal place. And when someone else knows, they nestle their shoulders under that boulder with me. And the more of their intimate people we can get to shoulder that burden with them together, the less weighty that feeling, that thought, that like boulder becomes in their life.
I feel like people seriously underestimate the power of just being with somebody. Like physically, it doesn't have to be like physically face to face, in person, but it could be on the telephone, it could be through text, it could be like a FaceTime call, it could be anything. As long as that person knows that you've noticed a change and you're paying attention, be with them in this, like that is powerful in itself.
Yeah, because coming back to that comment you made earlier about suicide being taboo, there are very few people and spaces we entrust that kind of heaviness to. Because when I'm carrying that kind of heaviness, I'm doing all sorts of mental calculations of where is a safe place to let this down. And the truth is most of the times I come up empty. Because oftentimes if we are bringing that up because we're noticing something in them, it means that they likely haven't told anybody else about it. And this could be like the first time that those words and that emotion and the weightiness just gets out of them.
And it's true, they say a problem shared is a problem halved. I wouldn't quite, it's not quite as black and white as that, but I do think there is some truth to that. Like if you're sharing a problem, it can, like you say, it's like someone stepping under that boulder with you.
The rain comes following an endless drought to wash away the remnants of all your doubt. I hope that you see me looking out.
It's not like me to worry, but when I see you fading in the dark, I'll leave a light on for you. Through the long nights, I will be right there for you. If you drift too far, I'll leave a light on for you. Through the long nights, I will be right there for you. If you drift too far, I'll leave a light on for you. You.
Woo! What does this say? Wow. Oh, that was so good. I feel like when you see the faces of the people in the crowd, it really hits home just how many people and all of the lights in the crowd. Oh, it just really hits home how many people relate to this, but also that there is strength in community. Because the amount of people that relate to this tells me that nobody's ever alone. It just really, really hits home, like seeing the faces of the people in the crowd. For me, it made me feel really emotional watching that. It's just really real.
It's hard to conceptualize that many people with that depth of pain.
Yeah, but then again, it's like I did a video once that talked about how can depression, suicidality, mental health difficulties, how can they make us all feel so alone when it's the one thing that actually unites us all.
Shoot.
It truly though, like every single person is going to go through really, really difficult times in their life. And I know, like, I don't mean to say that as like an invalidating thing, because obviously some people will experience these difficulties with greater, I suppose, difficulty than others. But then if struggling and experiencing difficulty is something that we're all experiencing, then surely that should feel uniting rather than, I don't know, so something that makes us feel so lonely.
Which is why music is such a powerful invitation, because it gives us an excuse to push past our own inner blockers, to experience this in community where we are all listeners on this journey of life. I mean, we've all experienced the darkness in our own story, but in so doing, like, we have taken on the responsibility of being light bearers. And this music gives us a stage to share that experience with one another.
And it's so powerful. Like, I'm sure you have, but have you ever been in that moment where you are stood in a crowd like that, with such a powerful, emotive song like that, and the sense of just community, I guess? It's the only word I can think of, really. That sense of like togetherness that you feel when you're in a crowd of people who all feel exactly the same way that you do. It's so powerful.
So go to a show, buy freaking Papa Roach tickets, right?
Yeah, but again, like the song in itself though is just so gentle and lovely. Like
Oh.
the two of the voices together just go so well.
Okay, so after listening to this song, I love the image of leaving a light on, because I feel like so often when we're in the middle of our own darkness, we believe that that's all that there will ever be. And on the flip side, when we are walking with someone in their darkness, we feel like we need to turn their light back on. But this song gives us freedom to say, like, I have love and I have care, and I see you and I am here. And I will leave my light on for you, so that when you are ready to step out of this darkness, you have a place to be. I just feel like that is so powerful. It's respecting the dignity of their choice, but it's saying, like, I'm not leaving you. I'm with you. I am right here. And when you make that choice, like, we are going to face this thing together. So powerful.
We always talk about mental health being sort of like the darkness, don't we? And just that visualization of it being a light in the darkness for somebody. Like you say, it's not you saying, you've got to have a light, you have to have a light. You know, there's so much pressure all the time for people. But what we're actually saying is, look, I've got mine on for you. So you don't have to. You can choose, like you say, to step into that when you need to.
Before we move on, I want to do something. This band has meant so much to so many people over the years. And I want to just take a moment to go back to Last Resort, pull up the song from 25 years ago, and just get a clip of Jacoby as the vocalist. What does he look like then? And then I want to flip back to this song and, like, what does he look like now?
He looks the same. The joke, here's conspiracy theory. He's a vampire. He's a vampire. That's the truth. He never changes.
Yeah, this guy doesn't age at all.
It's just in. Confirmed identity. HeartSupport really getting to the bottom of things, right?
Oh, come on. Yeah, I've seen that.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort. Cut my life into pieces.
I can't stop it.
The song still slaps.
It is still a banger.
I remember younger Nate listening to this song and being like, I think I'm the coolest person on the planet right now. Like, you know, like, this song just makes you feel like, oh, just so on the radio, you're bopping with your boys, and you're in the truck and the sound system's up and you're just freaking getting it. So I want to just notice the energy shift. Let's go back to Leave a Light On. I just want to compare and contrast Jacoby from here to there.
Dry bones rattling a lonely soul, slipped and fell into a deep black hole. I can tell you're lost, I'm here for you.
I think that this is really special. If you just feel this man's essence in one versus the other. I know that music videos are literally just a snapshot of someone even acting, right? They're performing. But I think that there's something substantively different between the song full of like angst and anger, right? Like the freedom of like aggressive expression in their youth. And 25 years later, can you imagine the hundreds and thousands of conversations that this man in particular has had with fans who came up and said, that song said what I couldn't say?
Oh,
You know?
like I was just looking at how old he was as well when he did that. He's 48 now, so that would have made him what, 23? I'm really bad at maths. Is that right? 23?
Hey,
When that came out?
you're not capable of holding the weight of hundreds and thousands of people who needed what you wrote, right, to make it another day, right? At 23, you're a musician performing, right? At 48, this man could have become callous, could have become jaded, could have become desensitized to the magnitude of the mantle that he has in life, of being the face of suicide and the strength of moving through that moment through music. Like he could have been someone different, but this man 25 years later has stepped into his strength as someone who is choosing to carry that burden with his fan base. Gosh, dude, that is so powerful. I mean, just like feel the gravity. Like play this clip for another 10 seconds. Like feel the gravity of this man's like aura.
Yeah. And he, just to say as well, like it almost mimics what mental health difficulties can be like for people, because we're going back, to the early days. There's a lot of angst, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of like an aggressive feel. And he's saying, like you say, saying for people what they needed to hear, maybe even himself at the time. But then also it can have these softer moments where, and as well, when you've been through something, sorry, I just had another thought come into my head. When you've been through something and you've been in that place, you can relate to people. So in a sense, sometimes coming from this angle, the Leave the Light On angle, is he coming from that place? Look, I've been there. I know what this is like.
So this is the link that this video points to. It's this partnership with another mental health nonprofit, and it's talking about like how to begin those kinds of conversations. This whole conversation that Robyn and I had, this has formal resources for people to actually learn what it's like to talk to talk away the dark, right? There's conversation guides, there's real stories, conversation starters. Like there's so many things here, but I just poked around their Instagram, and like there are so many songs or so many posts that this band is creating that are all about suicide. For survivors of suicide loss day, they did like half a dozen different interviews with people, with Jacoby, with Lance Bass, with other celebrities, and they're bringing light to this topic. When like, yes, I know that like this song is about suicide prevention, and so there is somewhat of a marketing angle behind it, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, look at this. Like this dude is just becoming the poster child the poster man, he's not a child anymore, of mental health in our scene. Like, this is incredible. I just feel like there's something to be said about a band writing a song, having a moment that, you know, that says something meaningful. But then another entirely when like this band is devoting a portion of their platform. I mean, look at all these stories right here. This is someone talking away suicide, talking away suicide, talking away suicide, talking away suicide, talking away suicide. It's like, it's all over. Like, they're not just having a moment, they're making a movement. And like, that is just so powerful, man.
Is that him? Like, he's asserting his place in the world. Like, they exploded onto the scene with a few songs that were heavily, you know, coming from the mental health angle, right? Like Scars. They have, as a band and as a frontman, asserted themselves in that space. And so, like you say, does that then open up a kind of worms? You then become almost like when we're talking about a safe person to talk to, they're a safe band in a way to explore those themes. And so now he's sort of accepted that burden, but in such a powerful and productive way.
I just think that there's something so cool about, like, Papa Roach, 23-year-old Jacoby did not set out to become like the person, the band you go to when you're carrying suicidal thoughts. It's something that happened to them. And many people can miss that calling on their life, and they're embracing it. And it's just so cool to see. So yeah, this was a masterpiece. It was moving. It was powerful. It was like accurate in terms of like what it is to support someone. It's encouraging. It's challenging. It opens conversations, and they're using it as a springboard to actually help people. I think this is fantastic. I'm so thankful that we got to digest this together, Robyn. And for you, if you are wanting to take next steps, I mean, Papa Roach is creating an on-ramp to be a part of that. If you have someone in your life who you're concerned about whether or not they are actively suicidal, click on the link, talkawaythedark.afsp.org. If you want to be trained to be someone who can walk alongside someone in the midst of their dark times, in the midst of what they're going through, like, we built peer support training. We have a professional therapist on our board, Dr. Michelle Sari, who did additional lessons in our training about how to walk through suicidal periods with other people as a peer, not a professional. We will train and equip you from nothing to feeling confident in those situations specifically. So click the link in the description to check out our volunteer program, to sign up and get that training totally for free. While you're there, remember to hit subscribe, hit follow on all of Robyn's channels. Go and show her some love. And lastly, we have one more amazing interview with a community member. Her name is Jambo, and she rallied an entire group of streamers who raised over $30,000. If you want to check out Jambo's story, click the link in the description. You can be inspired by one person saying, I have a difference that I can make, and I'm going to make it. If you have been looking for a place in the Heal the Scene movement, use this story as inspiration to find a place that fits you and inspires you to give back and help more music fans find the mental health support they need. Thank you for being here. Taylor will be back in the next video. We are very excited to welcome her. Thank you guys for tuning in.